Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a sausage dog, which was a request I received. When crocheted using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook, the large one, the size is 15.5 centimetres wide by 9.5 centimetres or 6 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches. This medium dog, crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton and a 1.5mm hook, is 11 centimetres wide by 6.5 centimetres or 7 inches wide by 2 3/4 inches. The small sausage dog, crocheted using 2-ply crochet cotton and a 1mm hook, is 7.5 centimetres wide by 5 centimetres or 3 inches wide by 2 inches. I'll be using Catona cotton today, so the size will be between the medium and the large one. I'll tell you the size at the end of the video. I'll be using Catona cotton. I've got 179 Topaz for the main colour, 383 Ginger Gold for the contrast, and 222 Tulip for the collar and bow. I've got a 2.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle to weave in the ends, scissors, sewing thread and a needle to stitch it together, and the black is to embroider on the eye, nose and mouth. Now we'll be starting at the top of the head, work down the head, work the body and then the back leg in one piece. I've got my 179, the Topaz, and we start with 6 chain. Now for row 1, to get a little bit of shaping, we'll be using 3 different stitches. So we work 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. A single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet we put the hook into the stitch, the second from the hook, and bring through a loop. Yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through the 2 loops. Then we work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. That's a half treble using UK terms. For a half double crochet we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the stitch and bring through a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through the 3 loops. Then we work 1 double crochet in the following stitch. That's a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 more loops. Then we work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch and 1 single crochet into the last stitch. And our work just has a bit of a curved top. For row 2 we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 2 single crochet into the first stitch, then 1 single crochet into each stitch to the last stitch. We'll work 2 single crochet into the last stitch and we'll have 7 stitches. So after our 2 single crochet, work 1 single crochet in each stitch to the last stitch. And work 2 single crochet into the last stitch. For row 3 we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into each of the first 6 stitches, and into our last stitch we work 2 single crochet and 1/2 double crochet. For row 4, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into each of the first 8 stitches. And 2 single crochet into our last stitch. For row 5, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into each of the first 5 stitches. We leave the rest of the stitches. For row 6, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into each of the first 4 stitches. And into the last stitch we work 2 single crochet and 1/2 double crochet. For row 7, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 2 single crochet into the first stitch. One single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And a joined single crochet or a decreased single crochet over the last 2 stitches. So we put our hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, and hook into the last stitch and bring up a loop. There's 3 loops on the hook. We put the yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops. For row 8, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet in each of the 7 stitches. And then we work 17 chain, that's for the back. 17 chain. For row 9, we miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 16 chain. and then 1 single crochet into each stitch to the last stitch. We'll work 2 single crochet into the last stitch and we'll have 24 stitches. So after the 16 single crochet in the chain, work 1 single crochet into each stitch to the last stitch, and work 2 single crochet into the last stitch. For row 10, we start with 1 chain and turn. We'll work 1 single crochet into each of the first 23 stitches, and work 2 single crochet into the last stitch. For row 11, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 2 single crochet into the first stitch, then we'll work 1 single crochet into each stitch until we have 2 left. We'll work a joined single crochet over the last 2 stitches and we'll have 25 stitches. So after the 2 single crochet in the first stitch, work 1 single crochet in each stitch until we have 2 left. And work a joined single crochet over the last 2 stitches. For row 12, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into each of the 25 stitches. Row 13, we start with one chain and turn and work one single crochet in each of the first 20 stitches. Now we're going to work one single crochet into the back loop only of each of the next 3 stitches. We'll be working the front leg into the front loop. So this is the front loop here and this is the back loop. So we're going to work one single crochet into the back loop only of each of the next 3 stitches. And then we work a join single crochet over the last 2 stitches in both loops. So we've got these 3 front loops left here to work the front leg into. For row 14 we start with one chain and turn, and we'll work one single crochet into each of the first 23 stitches. And we've got one stitch left. We work 2 single crochet into the last stitch. And that's the head and body worked. We're going to start on this back leg now. So for row 15 we start with one chain and turn. We work one single crochet in each of the first 5 stitches. And a join single crochet over the next 2 stitches. For row 16 we start with one chain and turn. We'll work a join single crochet over the first 3 stitches. So we put our hook into the first stitch and bring up a loop, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, and hook into the following stitch and bring up a loop. There are 4 loops on the hook. We put the yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops. Then we work one single crochet into each of the last 3 stitches. For row 17 we start with one chain and turn. We work one single crochet into the first stitch and then a joined single crochet over the last 3 stitches. For row 18 we start with one chain and turn and work a joined single crochet over the 2 stitches. For row 19 we start with one chain and turn and work one single crochet into the stitch. For row 20 we start with one chain and turn and work one single crochet into our stitch. For row 21 we start with one chain and turn and work one single crochet and one half double crochet into the stitch. And we fasten off. And that's the head, body and back leg all done. I'll just weave in the ends and I'll be back and we'll work this little section before the legs just to bring our work down a bit, and then we'll work a neatening row around it. Now for this front part of the body we're going to join the 179, the topaz, to the first stitch at the front of row 14, so just in here. And work one chain. For row 1 we work a joined single crochet over the same stitch as our join and the next stitch. Then one single crochet into each of the next 7 stitches. And a joined single crochet over the following 2 stitches. For row 2 we start with one chain and turn. We work a joined single crochet over the first 3 stitches. One single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And a joined single crochet over the last 3 stitches. For row 3 we start with one chain and turn. We work a joined single crochet over the first 2 stitches, one single crochet into the next stitch and a joined single crochet over the last 2 stitches. And that's the front part of the body done. Now for the neatling row we start with one chain and we turn our work. And we're going to work one single crochet into each stitch to just the beginning of the head here. Now we'll work one slip stitch into each stitch just along the bottom of the head there. For a slip stitch, we put the hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook. So one slip stitch in each stitch, just along to the point of the nose. Now into the point of the nose we're going to work one single crochet into each of the two stitches, just at the end of the nose, and then slip stitch into each stitch around to the first stitch of the chain. So where we work those chain, one slip stitch into each stitch around to the chain for the back. It can be easier to use a finer hook for your neatening row. Now I'm down to the chain for the back. We work one single crochet into each of the first 7 stitches along the back. One half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And one single crochet into each stitch to the end of the back. Now I'm at the end of the back. Now we work 14 chain, that's for the tail. For the tail we work one slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and then one single crochet in each chain till we have one chain left. and then a joined single crochet over the last chain and the next stitch on the body, and then one single crochet into each stitch down to the top of the back leg. We work one slip stitch into each stitch around the leg. Now if you did want a bit more of a point to the foot, you could work a single crochet into the end here, into the end of the foot, just to make it a little bit more pronounced. And you could do that on all the feet. And then work one single crochet into each stitch to the beginning of the row. Slip stitch into the first stitch and fasten off. And that's the body neatened, and the tail. We'll be stitching the tail down to the back like that. I'll weave in that end and I'll be back and we'll work the front leg. Now for this front leg we're going to join in the front loops left from row 13. So they're just in here, there's 3 of them there. Now I'm going to leave a long tail at the end for my neatening row. It will depend how thick the yarn is as to how much you will need to leave. Like I've left this much. I'd need more for this leg than the 2 far legs. I'd rather leave too much than not enough. And for row 1 we start with 1 chain. We work 1 single crochet into the same stitch as the join and 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 front loops we left. I find it easier to find them if I bend my work over. For row 2 we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into each of the 3 stitches. For row 3, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into the first stitch and a joined single crochet over the last 2 stitches. For row 4, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into the first stitch and 1 half double crochet into the last stitch. For row 5, we start with 1 chain and turn and work a joined single crochet over the 2 stitches. For row 6, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into the stitch. For row 7, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into the stitch. For row 8, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into the stitch. And for row 9, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet into the stitch. And we fasten off. And that's the front leg. And for the neatening row, using the tail that we left, we just work 1 slip stitch in each stitch around. Just bring it through to the front and work a slip stitch into each stitch around the leg. And then we fasten off. And that's the front leg done. I'll weave in those ends and we'll be back and we'll work the other 2 legs. Now for this far front leg, we join 3 stitches before where the front leg meets the back part of the front leg. So it should be about the join. Being a join, it's a bit hard to get into. We're going to work into the back loops only, and I'm leaving a long tail for my neatening row again, but it doesn't need to be as long as the last tail. For row 1, we work 1 chain and work a joined single crochet over the same stitch as the join and the next stitch in the back loops only. For row 2, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet into the stitch And for row 3 we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet into the stitch and fasten off. And then we just use the tail to work 1 slip stitch in each stitch around, and if you want to you can work the single crochet into the end of the foot if you'd like. And once we get round to the body we fasten off, and that's the far front leg done. For the far back leg we join in the back loop only just after our leg, so in about here, and we leave a bit of a tail again for our neatening row. We start with 1 chain and we're going to work into the back loop only. We work in 1 single crochet in the back loop in the same stitch as the join, and 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. For row 2 we start with 1 chain and turn and work a joined single crochet over the 2 stitches. For row 3 we start with 1 chain and turn and work 1 single crochet and 1 half double crochet into the stitch, and we fasten off. And the neatening row is worked the same, just 1 slip stitch in each stitch around, or you could work a single crochet in the end if you'd prefer. And we fasten off once we get to the body. Now that's the main part of the dog done. I'll weave in those ends and I'll be back with the ginger gold and we'll start on the ears. Now for this front ear I've got my 383 the ginger gold, and we start with a magic loop. There's lots of ways to make a magic loop, so make it how you feel most comfortable. I just put my hook on the yarn, bring the short end over the hook and the long end over the short end to make a circle. Yarn around the hook and bring my hook with the yarn at the end through the circle, and that's my magic loop. And we start with 2 chain and work 1/2 double crochet into the circle. Then pull the circle tight. For row 2, we start with 1 chain and turn and work 3 single crochet into our stitch. For row 3, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 1 single crochet into each of the first 2 stitches and 2 single crochet into the last stitch. For row 4, we start with 1 chain and turn. We work 2 single crochet into the first stitch and 1 single crochet into each of the 3 remaining stitches. For row 5, we turn our work and slip stitch into the first stitch. We work 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1/2 double crochet into the following stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, that's a treble using UK terms, and 1 treble into the last stitch. That's a double treble using UK terms. For a treble we put the yarn around the hook twice, hook into the last stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 more loops, then yarn around the hook and take our hook with the yarn at the end through the remaining loops. And we don't turn or fasten off, we can start with 1 chain and we work 1 slip stitch in each stitch around the ear. Into the point of the ear, I like to work 1 slip stitch, 1 chain, and then 1 slip stitch into that same stitch. It just gives it a bit more of a point. And then 1 slip stitch into each stitch to the beginning of the row. And slip stitch into the top of the first stitch and fasten off. And that's the front ear worked. Now for this little back ear, it's going to be worked onto the dog. We join into the stitch after the neck. And work 2 chain. And we're going to work a joined 1/2 double crochet over the same stitch as our join and the next stitch. So we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the same stitch as the join and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, and then yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops and fasten off. And that's the little back ear done. Now for this back body marking, I've still got my 383, the ginger gold, and we start with 11 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 half double crochet into each of the next 6 chain. Then we work 4 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet into each of the 3 remaining chain. And then 1 single crochet into the next of the original chain, and then work 3 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet into each of the 2 remaining chain, and 1 single crochet into each of the original chain that are left. And fasten off. And that's the back marking. For this tail marking, I've still got my ginger gold, and we start with a magic loop. For row 1 we work 2 chain and work 3 half double crochet into the circle. And we pull the circle tight. For row 2 we start with 2 chain and turn. We work 2 half double crochet into the first stitch, one half double crochet into the next stitch, and 2 half double crochet into the last stitch. And then we work a neatening row of 1 single crochet into each stitch around the bottom to the beginning of the last row. So just 1 single crochet into each stitch. You can start with 1 chain if it's easier for you. And once we get round to the beginning of the last row, we fasten off. And that's the tail marking. Now for the bow, I've got my 222, the tulip, and we start with a magic loop. We work 4 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain. And then slip stitch into the circle. Then we work 2 chain, work 1/2 double crochet into the circle, work 2 chain and slip stitch into the circle, then work 2 chain, work 1/2 double crochet into the circle, work 2 chain and slip stitch into the circle, and then work 4 chain. Miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and slip stitch into the circle. Then we pull our circle tight and fasten off. And that's the bow. For the collar, I've still got my tulip, and we start with 14 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain. And then we fasten off. And that's the collar. That's all the pieces worked. I'll just weave in the ends and I'll be back and we'll put it together. Now there's the pieces. I've got the main part, the collar, the bow, the front ear and the body markings. The first things I'll do is attach the front ear. It just goes up in there, just about there, and I'll stitch the tail down. I stitch about halfway, just in like that. The next things I'll do is embroider on the eye, the mouth and the nose, and I'll attach the markings. This one goes just along the back and then slightly up the side. That from the second part goes up the side. We need to have enough room to put the collar in between the ear and the marking, and this one goes around the back like that, just in front of the tail. So in there. The last thing I'll do is add the collar just around there under the ear, and then I'll attach the bow just on top of the collar there. So I'll do that and I'll be back to show you the finished sausage dog. There's the finished sausage dog. The size is 12.5 centimetres wide by 9 centimetres or 5 inches wide by 3.5 inches. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Twitter. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns, the details of my Facebook group and the details of my Patreon. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.